As we all know, Saab Automobile was shut down in late 2011 by General Motors. And since then, there have been multiple attempts to sort of revive Saab or the spirit of Saab by a variety of different companies. NEVS, which stands for National Electric Vehicle Sweden, is the most recent example of that. I've done a variety of videos on NEVS covering what they are, some of the cool concepts that they've come out with, cool plans that they've had, some of which are definitely better than others. But the most promising of that was the Emily GT. This was a secret project that sort of came to the mainstream media in 2023. And since then, there hasn't really been much on it. What's happened both with NEVS, the Emily GT, Pons, which is another one of their projects. And so today we're going to discuss what's happened with the Emily GT NEVS and all of that in the last 1 to 2 years. Let's quickly refresh what has happened with NEVS in the last couple of years. So I'm going to link the video in the top corner where I discuss the Emily GT as well as the updates on NEVS as of 2023. I'll summarize that here though. Essentially in March 2023, it was announced that NEVS was going to freeze all of their operations and essentially go into a hibernation. This is because of Evergrande, who is a Chinese real estate firm, and their parent company dealing with massive debt and also some scandals. So the Emily GT was a concept car, but it was more of a proof of technology that was being developed. And the main important piece of technology that was developed and utilized in the Emily GT was this new design for electric motors and how they worked. Most EVs, typically speaking, function in the same way that a gas-powered car does for driving the wheels. They have their electric motor, and then they have axles that go to the wheels. The Emily GT and the people at NEVS were pioneering a technology that essentially had the electric motor and everything in the wheel hub, so you didn't have any axles or drive shafts or things like that. This had a few benefits, one of them being that each motor and wheel could be controlled completely separate from one another, which is kind of cool. But let's talk about what has happened since then and where we are now. So NEVS was actually very close to being sold a few months ago, back in 2024, to a company called Electra. At the time of that news, I thought about making a video. I'm glad I didn't, because that deal completely fell through. Apparently, Electra wasn't able to hold up portions of their end of the deal, and so NEVS had to pull out. And from what I've been reading online about Electra, it's probably a good thing that that deal fell through. With NEVS, the Emily GT, Pons, all of their technology kind of still being on the market and for sale, NEVS had to unfortunately recently lay off their last 20 employees, including their CEO. This, of course, like I mentioned, still stems from the Evergrande debt, among other issues. And for the record, briefly, I discussed what the Emily GT is. Pons was another one of NEVS projects that was essentially kind of like a self-driving city car. So for us car enthusiasts, nothing very interesting, but I think the idea of it is kind of cool. NEVS CEO did announce that they might have a buyer for the Emily GT and the Pons projects, and that a deal is actually about 85% done and could be completed as soon as early 2025. That potential buyer has not been revealed, and there haven't really been any details about the deal released yet. However, the buyer does recognize Trollhättan's legacy and understands the value of keeping operations in Sweden. I think those are two very important points, especially for the people of Trollhättan. I went on NEV's website. There hasn't really been anything that's been updated, as far as I can tell, at least in the second half of 2024 and into early 2025. Unsurprisingly, of course, I'm sure they don't really have much to announce on there. So the website doesn't have much information. I'm editing this video right now, and I actually did realize there is an article here about NEV's future plans from Saab Planet. So just quickly, you can check this article out if you like, but it does talk about how they have some new office space planned, some new headquarters, kind of revitalizing its current HQ, it seems like, as well as some possible future expansion. So I don't know how likely this is, given that the company is clearly struggling right now, but I love the optimism, and hopefully we can see something like this become a reality someday. So what's next? Well, hopefully we can see the sale of the Emily GT and the Pons project be completed, and hopefully to a company that is going to keep any sort of operations around those projects in Sweden. I hope everyone watching this video has come to terms with the fact that Saab Automobile is not coming back, especially in the form that it was in the Saabs that we all own. You can argue that their legacy is living on in projects like the Emily GT. I would certainly make that argument to an extent, given that, for example, Emily GT's designer was also a designer for Saab, and a lot of NVS employees are former Saab employees. With that in mind, though, if a company such as Polestar or Koenigsegg, these are names that have been thrown out there countless times, were to complete this purchase, I think that could make for something really, really interesting to see. If they could somehow produce the Emily GT, or, I mean, at the very least, use that technology in their own cars. And I think it would make sense if the buyer is Swedish, given that they understand the importance of keeping operations in Sweden. I think it's not necessarily a super strong argument or point there, but it means something. On a slightly related note, the factory in Trollhättan has also begun to sell off some of its machines and equipment, such as the machines that were used to mold body panels for these cars. So there's just a lot of kind of unknowns out there, but I feel like this deserved an update video. Obviously, again, nothing is finalized, and hopefully at some point later this year, we'll have some news on what could come of the Emily GT project, and hopefully some good news for NVS as well. I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts down below in the comments. I apologize for sounding like I do. I've somehow gotten sick again, the second time I've been sick in 2 months, really making it hard for me to create content for you all. I usually never get sick. Nevertheless, hope you all are enjoying your 2025. Hopefully this year brings us some good news on the Emily GT front, because I do think it's a super cool car. Again, check out that video going over it, because there are tons of fascinating technology, the style of it, design, engineering behind it, everything super cool. That's all for today though. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.
Take it easy.